For this example, we're going to talk about the rhombus, and here I have marked the initial information off, but before we start working on it, whenever you see the word rhombus, the properties of a rhombus have to pop up in your mind automatically. The properties of a rhombus are all the properties of the parallelogram. The rhombus inherits parallelogram. The rhombus will inherit all the properties of a parallelogram, plus extra, the properties of a rhombus are that the diagonals are perpendicular, and the other thing you need to know about the diagonals is that the diagonals bisect the angles. Okay, so that means that, and also the definition of a rhombus is that all four sides are congruent. Okay, so when I say the diagonals bisect the angles, what I mean is that diagonal KM bisects angle K. So that means it will cut angle K into two congruent angles. For our first question here, the measure of angle SKP is 50, and here it is, SKP is 50. What is the measure of angle OKP? OKP is right here, OKP. And we said that the diagonals bisect the angle, so this has to be 50. Okay? So this is 50. The next fill in the blank is the measure of angle KOP. Here's KOP. That means this piece here. How do I find this angle? Well, if you remember that the diagonals in a rhombus are perpendicular, that means that this angle of intersection here is 90. 90 plus 50 makes 140. So that means that this angle has to be 40. Why 40? Because all three angles have to add to 180 degrees inside of a triangle. And this is a triangle here. Measure of angle MOP. MOP, that's this piece right here. We said the diagonals bisect the corner angles, so this is 40. Okay, there's 40. Measure of angle OMP, that's OMP, this way. They want to know what this measure is. Well, again, the diagonals in a rhombus are perpendicular. So that means that 40 plus 90 is 130, and this has to be 50 because they have to add up to 180. Another thing you could have done there to figure, 50, to figure out what the measure is, another thing you could have done is opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent. So if this is 50 and this is 50, then these two also have to be 50, okay? Measure of angle SMP. SMP, that's this piece here, and again, by opposite angles are congruent, or just by knowing that the diagonals bisect the angles. So this is 50. The measure of angle MSP, that would be MSP right here. That angle, well here, again, we could use opposite angles. I know this is 40. Or you can try and add by making the diagonals are perpendicular, so I can add up the angles in a triangle. 40, and the measure of angle KSP, that's this piece here, again, 40, because the diagonals bisect the angles, or by opposite angles are congruent. The next question is, are the diagonals of a rhombus congruent? No. They are congruent in a rectangle and a square, but not in a rhombus. Are the diagonals of the rhombus perpendicular? Yes, they are. Okay, I'll do one more example for your review. I'll see you in the next video.